go forward to 1980. You guys are now teammates. John Peard was the coach. The team had just missed qualifying for the finals. But did you have any inkling that something special might be building?
Well, 1980, even though we didn't make the semis, we only just missed out, and I think we lost the last 4 games, I think, and we had a horrendous injury toll, just one after the other. And oddly enough, the Dragons were the ones who put us to bed, put us out of the semi-final in their last game. But I thought we had a really good career, season that season, and then of course it just with injuries and you get to that level, if you can't put your best on the side, it's very difficult to win games.
Yeah, look, we had a side that year realistically. Like, you had Beats and O'Reilly, you had Edge, you had Hilditch, you had Gerard, you had Wynne, you had Lou Platts, you had Ray Price, you had Graham Olling.
Cronin.
Well, that was just the forwards. I was sort of going. We had, but it was one of those years where things didn't, just. And it was at the end of the year. Price was out for a while. I might have been suspended the last few games. I'm not too sure. Funny one you remember. Yeah. But as you said, we went into the end of the year. We probably just didn't have the best side. We had to win one of our last 2 games to qualify, and that was a better side. But as you said, things happen, and things don't always go.
People don't understand. Like winning grand finals is not an easy thing to do. And in any grand final, I think you need a bit of luck, because the sides are normally so close together. You need things to go your way on that particular game, because you put two great sides up against. You start looking at the things and saying, well, who's going to win this game? Who's going to pick it? And you say, well, I don't know. I suppose even the North Queensland Brisbane one this year. I mean, it was a cracker grand final, absolutely terrific. And see. He's an immortal, and he missed it, didn't he? Or he's going to be an immortal. Thurston, he's out.
You hit the upright, you probably deserve one.
But it was just great. But you have a look at the two sides, and you think, well, who's going to win? And as I say, you need a little bit of luck.
So, there's a lot of things come into it. Like in '84, we got beaten 6-4, right? In '86 we won 4-2, but I always remember Money saying that year, which was at the grand final, he said, no side's going to win this game. He said, just at the end of it, one's going to be in front. And it was pretty right. You played Canterbury in those days. There wasn't a lot of football, and he was smart, Warren Ryan. Don't never let. And the way the rules were, they changed the rules because when they changed the rules because of you're pretty smart. He worked out defence was that important. He came up with a defensive, I do sometimes think that if he'd allowed his side to attack more, well, not so much, they're probably a bit structured in attack. I mean, they're all structured, but he was probably before his time in some areas. But they were games that, it's just whoever's going to be in front, because then they beat St George 7-6, wasn't it?
Yes. It's amazing to see '84. I remember, you just remember different things that happened, and they had a young O'Brien,
the winger,
winger or something like that, and the ball's gone out, Kenny, Cronin, whatever, Ella or whatever it is, and then there was this pass to Eric Growth, and Eric would have been in, under the post, the whole shebang, and this Martin just dived forward and he just hit the ball, and of course it just went down.
I think Eric might have dropped the pass too that day early in the game, did he? Did he?
Yeah, well, we should highlight.
No, what I'm saying is one of those things, if he catches that, but I missed a goal kick, that'll always be remembered, but I'm just saying...
I wasn't going to bring that up. You noticed I didn't bring that up?
I'd bring that up.
First half.
Was in the first half. And Ella went off in the first half too.
And it was only in front, it's all right, it wasn't that big.
It was a shit kick, I'll give you that.
You didn't have to tell me.
No, I don't, because I didn't think that. I didn't think the cricket ground held 400,000 people, because that's how many people was reminded. They were all sitting there in the barongles.
At the end of the day, like I can say this quite easily, and not because he's here or whatever, but I've been asked before, what would you do in a grand final, and who would you have kicking the goals? I said, Crow. I said, kicks as good as anyone.
Funny thing, when I went to
better.
And Fernley signed me, he said, I don't want you doing the goal kicking. I said, that's fair enough, that doesn't worry me. said, I'm coming here to play football. I never know why that changed. But the first, before the, no, you're right.
Who was the other kicker? Yeah.
Oh, well, they had Levy and Peard had been doing some.
Yeah.
But that's what he said. He said, look, I won't worry about you doing the goal kicking. I said, yeah, that's not a problem to me. I said, I'm not coming here to kick goals. But anyway.
As we're working through the rest of the team, we've just spoken, the Cumberland Pro have spoken to Peter Wynn, also spoken to Bob O'Reilly. And they wouldn't mind a couple of raps. Any thoughts on their time playing with you guys?
They better wait for the next two blokes you interview then for a couple of raps.
Well, I'm not going to bag the bear. I mean, I only bag the bear when he's away. You know, it goes on TV.
But when he played more seasons than games, I don't want any people to realise.
That's it.
About 14 seasons, I think about 12 games.
And if you don't score here, you'll never score. I went, geez, Wally went. Geez. Actually, Wally was good.
What could you say about O'Reilly that he hasn't said about himself? Just tell me. Just tell me. Did he give himself a rap, did he?
Oh, we had to cut a lot of it out. We didn't have time.
What did he talk about? His great hands?
Great hands. Great body, actually.
Soft hands. Great body.
Yeah,
he was stretching the limit.
He could move. Well, there's a lot of it. You know, he's twice the man he used to be.
But, the great O'Reilly.
No, the old bear. He was a good team. Good guy to be with, though. Like, he had enormous amount of team spirit and stuff like that, and you could bag him and do whatever else, and he'd always come back at you and stuff like that. And with Winnie was good because what I'd do is if there was a decision to go one way or the other, I'd go across and say, Winnie, what do you think we should do? And he'll say, kick for goal, and I'd say, okay, kick for touch, and off we go. You know, it just worked every time.
Thing about O'Reilly, he could play. That's a hard thing you haven't got. He could play. And probably never got given enough credit, actually. But I went away as a young bloke on that 73 Kangaroo tour. If you asked half the people in England, they would say, oh, this place is going better than Beatson. And you know, he was but could be the brunt of a lot of jokes and could handle them, but could give it as well. Fair to say he could give it when he, like, think about Peter Wynn, probably no one knows to some way how good he might have been. Like, his first year in Sydney was exceptional, right? He probably scored 9 tries or 10 tries in about. Then he got knocked out, which is probably one of the best, whichever way you look at it, but one of the really bad knockouts. And he was, I don't know, he suffered from concussions. And Jack's first year there, I'd had a bit of an injury and I wasn't trained this night, and he came up, he said, I think Jack thinks I'm a hypochondriac. He said, but there's something wrong with my knee. Anyway, the next day he had a knee reconstruction. He was out there trying to run. It was always, so he sat out 81. Then he had another couple of bad concussions. You know, and I don't think he's recovered from them actually. but bad concussions, and
well,
he did it. His career, while very good, he did suffer a lot of injuries, and I've got it, you know.
Just on the bear, he played in, I think it was the 1970 World Cup. Harry Barth was he was the coach, and obviously I got to know Harry very, very well, and Harry would often talk about the bear, and he said on that tour he was best on tour. He said the best player on the tour, bar none, and that's a pretty good rap.
We were talking before about bringing team spirit to the dressing room. Jack Gibson comes along 1981, in the 1981 Grand Final. Steve, you won Grand Finals at the Dragons. Was it a similar feeling after that inaugural 1981 Grand Final win? Was there a similar feeling in the dressing sheds afterwards?
Well, 81 was pretty amazing because there was Parramatta had been there so close. They were probably looked upon as a working class area. To win and be part of the very, very first premiership winning team was just absolutely awesome. But having said that, mate, winning grand finals, they say, you know, which is the best? I say, well, mate, it's like which lottery were you going to win? I said, because it's just the most amazing feeling of all time. 77 was brilliant for me because I was George Junior, grew up and through the 11-year era and all that type of stuff, and you know, to think you play more than once on the SCG is amazing, but to win a comp there is just absolutely awesome. And then in 81, the euphoria, I think, was just unbelievable on the hill. I remember racing because I brought the side across to the hill after we won, before the actual presentation, I think it was, and there were people there that I actually knew who you'd met in the clubs and all this type of stuff, and just to see this, the expressions on their face was just unbelievable. Like, I'm thinking, well, I'm feeling pretty good, but gee whiz, you're on something, So, and it was wonderful, and it just gave Parramatta, saying, mate, we've got the best football team in the world, and I think it did a lot for the area.
Nick, what was it like comparing that premiership victory to what you might have had in Gerringong?
Look, I always said, no matter where I've won premierships, they've all been the same. As a player, they're all... And look, I'm still coaching now, I'm still enjoying, But I think one thing at Parramatta, as a player, we did appreciate the fans. Well, I did, and I think they did appreciate the fans, and they realised what that grand final win meant to them. Not only the players, don't get wrong, when we win it, we're the happiest. We win them for ourselves, to forget what anyone else ever says, but we did appreciate how the fans felt, and we were happy. You just see, one is right, you just see their enjoyment. And look, but it's no matter, that's the same wherever. I'm not saying they're any special, but when you're part of it, and they're the people who support you, you appreciate it for yourselves and you realise what it means to them.
To give you an example, and I'm pretty sure the Bear told the story about the bus dropping his kids off.
He did.
On the way to the Oval. Then.
What about his mother-in-law? Did you have to drop her off as well?
and then we went to Ronnie Hildich's place, and that was probably one of the most fantastic things of all, because they live in a little cul-de-sac, and then all of a sudden the bus turns up. And they just couldn't believe it. And everyone got out, and I said, mate, we've got 10 minutes, because Ronnie had said, Edgy, is there any chance that, Mum's got a party go? I said, mate, absolutely, mate. Yes, this is the first, we're going to enjoy this. And we did. And then we got back on the bus, and we're heading down to Pennant Hills Road to go there. Had to go on a Victoria Road, and then it just, mate, you couldn't get within a kilometre of the Leagues Club. It was just, it was like New Year's Eve. And yet as we came through, it was like the parting of the seas. As we went through, not an ounce of trouble. The bus just went through, and it just unbelievable. Then we hopped on the James Hardy truck, because the car park was just chockers full of people. And then I remember someone tapped me on, we were supposed to go into the Chinese restaurant for the players' presentations and all that type of stuff. And I got a tap on the shoulder saying, Edgy, you've got to go to the auditorium with our team. He said, otherwise we're going to have a riot. And then up we went, and just, oh mate, you were superstars. It was just unbelievable. And then you told Jack to say, ding dong, the witch is dead, and that just brought the house down, But that's what it meant to him. And as Mick said, like, to win one as a player, I mean, it's just, it's your goal. I mean, there are guys who don't even get to play in the grand final, and that you feel, you do feel sorry for them. So
I wasn't actually on the bus, because I always thanked Terry Fernley for getting me to Sydney, even though I said for years I never wanted to come. So I actually went back to his place from the ground and thanked him, and then I went back. I drove back to them. Had trouble getting the parking spot when I got back too, actually. But so I wasn't actually on the bus when they were doing all the taxis drop-offs.
You had trouble getting the grand final too.
Oh, that was late in life. Yeah. But I'd have been giving it to the Bear, but I'd have been having to drop his family off. But
what about Sterlo going to the Amco Cup? We went
to ride the bike.
Tooth Cup, yeah. He got stuck on Parramatta Road, so he just basically got out of the car, turned it off, started running.
Riding the bike,
and then he found a bloke on a motorbike, and the bloke on the motorbike put him on the back and took him to Leichhardt Oval, and he only just got there on time.
We'll save that for when we sit down with Sterlo on the Cumberland throw. Going back to the game itself, I know it might be hard to pinpoint one, but special moments from that game that you remember? Was it the full-time siren, or was it something that you remember particular from that game?
Well, it was a very tough game. I mean, we went in as red-hot favourites and all that, and that's the last thing you ever want to do in a grand final, because you can never underestimate who you were playing, and I mean they were a very, very good side, but it took us a while to get on top, and it wasn't, and it was amazing. I remember it because it was I sent the ball to Sterlo, and he sent it to the Bear, and the Bear just ran down the side, and then I think it went to Sharpie, Steve Sharp, and he went hooting down and then passed it back inside to the slowest winger we've ever seen in our entire life, Graham Atkins, Acco, and he got run down by Ken Wilson, correct?
I was going to say to Sharpie give it to Sterlo, and Sterlo give it to Acco, did he?
Right, did he? Well, which, yeah.
It was a bit of infamy. Yeah.
But the bear was that was the changing of the match. That's when I think we sort of knew that we were a big chance of knocking it off, because I remember walking out at half time and all I heard was whoever scores next is going to win this game. And you put it out of your head, but you go down. Of course, 5 minutes into the second half, Tommy Radonicus picks the ball up and scores beside the post. So we weren't going to let that happen to us. And then Brett Kenny scored that great try down the sideline, and dummy to his grandmother, and off we went. And that was it. And then we knew that we had it. But it wasn't. It certainly wasn't an easy grand final to win, and it took us a long time to win, because Newtown were in it from day one. They were great.
After Ding Dong, the Witch is Dead, amazingly 2 more premierships follow, 82, 83. Do you have different memories of those victories, or like you said, it's like comparing children or lottery wins? How do you differentiate between the 81, the 82 and the 83?
Look, I've said all my life, all of them, we played football to win premierships. From when I was a kid, that's all. Every year you turned up, and that's never changed. When Jack come to in 1980, I never signed up a year at a time. So he came to me, he said, "What do you want out of football?" So I said, "I just want to win a premiership, Jack." What I should have said, "I just want to win one here," because never said anything after we won one, right? But in '82, after he won, he walked up to me, he just walked to you, and he said, "You got greedy, eh?" He got greedy. And I knew what he meant, and he knew what I meant, but we never ever spoke about it. But yeah, that's all he said, and I said, "Yeah, sort of." But yeah, to me, it's always, no matter when I play, it's all about winning premierships. When you win one, you appreciate it. But as I said, the next year, I don't get turned up the next year thinking, "Oh well, now I've got one." I'm thinking, "Well, we're going around again here." And realistically, that side wasn't. In '84 was a goal kick away, and in '85, what people forget about Parramatta was that up to May, half that side was in England. Sterling and Kenny played in the, I know the Muggo did too, did we? But they played in the Wembley Cup final. Growth had been over there, I think Taylor, Hunt. And even at the end of the year, instead of finishing third, I reckon we finished fourth. I reckon we finished third, we're still, but what I'm saying, that side wasn't far off from 6 years. They were never far away in 6 years, But as I said, at the start of it, we were very fortunate all those young blokes come through, the likes of Sterling, Kenny had played a bit of first grade, Growth. See, what people don't realise, Ella played his first 2 games of first grade in 1979, got injured, never played again until 81, had 18 months off, bad knee operation. Then you got the likes of the next couple of years, Mears come through, Lydiard, some young...
Can't forget Guru.
Didn't I leave out Guru?
They left Guru out, yeah. He'd blow up,
Well, he'd be entitled to, because I thought I should, yeah, because he was a freak, Guru. He was a dead set, bad body, but great ability.
Remember, he ran over the top of Wombat, Graham Eady, to score a try. And I mean,
that doesn't happen in that situation very often.
No.
But look, and as I said, all those blokes, and then, as I said, a couple of young forwards, Mears, and that's what that side needed. They had all the experienced blokes, but some young, but not just young, blokes. So when you talk about the best positions, players in the best positions, they all get a mention. Sterling, Kenny, Ella, and as you said, Guru. Like, it's funny how you talk to older players when they talk about best wingers. They all bring him up. But not even, I'll talk about Ken Irvine, but they'll all bring him up too, Grace. or some of the others, they might be more up, but growth gets mentioned very early in the piece. But he was such a great trainer, probably what kept him young so far.
Never trained in his life. God, you're kidding. Why his career finished so early was because he started to train late in his career and get into it, but his body couldn't handle it, you know, so a good man.